Tell us, man, what's going on in Islanders land these days? Horvat has joined. Is everyone excited about this? Disappointed? What's the mood like around there?
Well, it's extremely exciting. Obviously, when there's something of this magnitude, excitement's the first thing, and then I think, I speak for the players. They're losing a really good guy in Anthony Beauvillier, a kid that came in, didn't really speak a lick of English. I was with him his rookie year, and really grew into, not just a good player, but a guy that's really beloved in that dressing room. So I think that's probably on the minds, but the big news from a fan's perspective, from an analyst perspective, is certainly getting Bo Horvat in. I think this is a group that has struggled with injuries, struggled with scoring recently, and this is a shot in the arm for a group that sits right outside the playoff spot, that needs to find a way to get in, find a way to score, find a way to add speed, and get younger in a sense. I know they traded away young guys, but Bo Horvat's a young guy with a lot of miles left on him. So I think it's a really exciting time to think about how you can further your playoff chances in adding Horvat. I mean, I think that's about as good as you can do.
So what does that do for the room? Like you say, Beauvillier is such a beloved guy, and you're trading him out. You're bringing in like this impact guy. I guess it's sort of a wake-up call in a way, but you're losing a guy, and then you have the new guy come in, and what's people's relationship toward him? Like, what's the dynamic when a big trade like that happens with a beloved guy going out the other way?
Well, I think a lot of times there's a bit of shock, and at the same time, this is a group with extremely high expectations, and not just internally, but I think coming into the year, a lot of these guys expected big things, and they're not in the spot they are now. And when that happens, these changes happen, and you're a professional, and you just have to go with it. As far as the dressing room dynamic, no, I don't think it's going to hurt one bit. Like I said, this is a business. Guys have been through it before. Some guys get traded to places they love, and some guys have to leave places and go to new spots. So I don't think that there's any dressing room issues whatsoever, but probably a ton of excitement, understanding that it's a business and you're losing a good guy, but from everything I've heard, you're also adding a quality guy, and a guy that was a captain in the NHL at a very young age in a tough market. So if anything, I think it will add a new dynamic to that dressing room.
Is there any fear about the future for the Islanders, like him not re-signing or giving up? They haven't had many firsts, and, Ratu was a prospect that, was kind of, they had hopes for. Or is this just pure, okay, we're focused on this year, and, not too worried about the cost it takes to get better?
I think that's exactly it. Obviously, you trade away a first, you trade away one of your top prospects, and Beauvillier, as we talked about. The eye is clearly on this season, and solely on this season. This team's built to win now, just the way contracts are structured and everything, and the expectations are to do now. So I think that is the primary focus. Obviously, you lose those younger pieces. Who knows if Horvat's going to be part of the future? I would assume that there would be a push to get that done, or an interest. I'm speaking on speculation of myself, not from anything that I know, but you look at Lou Lamoriello giving up first, second, and third for J.G. Pajot, and he was signed right away. I'd be interested to see if this is something that they try to get. Maybe it takes a little bit of time, but you can certainly bet with the price that was paid and how highly they think of Horvat, would be zero surprise at all if they wanted to keep him around long term. So maybe that's something. And you've also got, I'm sure Lou has thought this in very many directions, and if 30, which I don't know, there's other ways that it can go as this season goes on. And I know there's not long until the deadline, but there's alternate plans you could make. But I think it was made with the intention of getting this team in the playoffs, a team that management really believes in, giving them that chance, because they've proven once they get in that they can do big things. So I think the focus was strictly on what does it do to our team right now in the immediate future to help us get where we want to be.
Yeah, that's perfect segue into what I was going to ask you about, Thomas, is that this team as presently constituted, like they came in here and they played the Leafs the other night, and the Leafs played pretty well. It wasn't that close of a game, but you look at this roster, and it's one versus where I look at the guys that are on it, and you look at the goaltending, you look at the decor. They have tons of guys up front, and like they now added Bo Horvat. It just really does feel like a team that maybe a little bit of an underachieving. If they get hot here, it's not a team that you want to see in the first round of the playoffs. They can play that playoff style hockey that could give a top team a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the challenge for the Islanders is getting there, getting into the playoffs. And I think that's a group that, I've had a front row seat watching them being part of the team going to back-to-back conference finals.
Absolutely.
That's a group that looks and feels different once the puck drops in playoffs. And, it's been tough trying to piece it together and find the right combinations and everything in the regular season. But I think that's what this is in mind, that this is a team that's proven they can do serious damage. Doesn't matter if they're underdogs, underachieving, overachieving. I believe that Lou Lamoriello is very proud of what that group can do if given the opportunity in the playoffs, and this is helping them get to that point. You know what? And there's, like you mentioned, they do have skill. They've got quality players up front. It hasn't clicked offensively. They've missed pieces, and then perhaps this buys you a little bit of time to get some other guys healthy that have missed a lot of time this season, and really fills out your roster. But as you mentioned, the bedrock of this team is certainly not goal scoring. It's goaltending, which has been, if you have Ilya Sorokin in net, you've got a very good chance to win any game. You've got a good chance, better than anyone in history, of seeing a shutout when he's in net, which is something he's recently done that people are talking about. But he gives this team a chance to win absolutely every night. And if you can add a goal, you can improve your power play every night by making an addition like this. You're just improving your chances so much in the short term.